You think the people closest to you care, but something feels off. Not loud, not obvious, just a quiet feeling you keep ignoring. Your brain protects you by hiding patterns that slowly drain you. And today, you're finally going to see what it's been hiding. Because real care leaves patterns, and fake care leaves confusion. But your brain doesn't always show you the difference clearly. It filters pain to protect you, even when it shouldn't. And that's exactly why you stay longer than you should. So here's the promise. 6 clear signs your brain keeps missing. Not opinions, not guesses, but patterns you can actually observe. Once you see them, you won't be able to unsee them. And that changes how you see every relationship around you. Real care versus performed care. Most people don't confuse love because they are naive or weak. They confuse it because their brain learned the wrong patterns early. It learned that inconsistency can still feel like connection sometimes. And that's where everything starts to quietly fall apart. Real care is not loud, dramatic, or constantly trying to prove itself. It is consistent, predictable, and quietly supportive in difficult moments. But performed care feels intense, emotional, and slightly unstable underneath. And your brain often mistakes intensity for genuine connection. Sign 1. They don't punish your limits. Imagine saying no when you are exhausted and need real rest. Not making excuses, just choosing yourself for a moment. This is where the first pattern becomes extremely clear. Watch their reaction, because it reveals everything about their intentions. People who truly care don't withdraw warmth when you set limits. They don't become distant, cold, or subtly passive-aggressive afterward. They understand your limits are part of being a healthy human, and they respect them without making you feel guilty. But here's where it gets dangerous and easy to miss. Some people punish you quietly, not loudly or aggressively. They shift energy, change tone, or make you feel uncomfortable. And your brain starts learning that saying no has consequences. Sign 2. They don't use your pain against you. At some point, you share something vulnerable with someone you trust. A mistake, a fear, or something that still affects you deeply. You share it because it feels safe in that moment. But what happens next defines the entire relationship. People who care protect what you share, even during conflict. They don't bring it back just to win arguments later. They understand your vulnerability is not a weapon to use. It is something that requires responsibility and emotional maturity. But something strange happens with the wrong kind of people. They store your pain like information for future leverage. And when the moment comes, they use it precisely. Not loudly, but in ways that hit exactly where it hurts. Sign 3. They don't keep score. Real kindness doesn't come with memory or future expectations attached. It is given freely, without tracking or silent calculations happening. You don't feel like you owe something every time they help. And that creates a sense of emotional safety over time. But here's where your brain often gets confused again. Some people give, but they never truly let go of it. They remember every favor, every moment they showed up, and they wait for the right moment to remind you. That reminder doesn't feel like gratitude, it feels like pressure. It feels like a balance sheet you never agreed to. And suddenly, their kindness starts feeling heavy instead of supportive. That's not care. That's control disguised as generosity. Sign 4. They stay when things get hard. Everyone is present when life is exciting, easy, and full of energy. That's the part most people enjoy and naturally show up for. But real connection is revealed when everything becomes quiet and difficult. That's where the real difference begins to appear clearly. People who care don't disappear when you stop being entertaining. They don't need constant excitement to stay connected to you. They sit with you, even when nothing is happening. Even when there is nothing to gain from being there. But here's the pattern most people overlook completely. Some people are only present for your high-energy moments. When things slow down, they slowly fade away without explanation. And your brain tries to justify their absence instead of questioning it. Sign 5. They don't trap you in your past. You've changed, learned, and grown from things you once did. That's how human development is supposed to work over time. But not everyone updates their image of who you are. And that creates a subtle but powerful form of tension. People who truly care recognize your growth and evolving identity. They don't bring up old mistakes to win present arguments. They deal with what's happening now, not what happened before. And that keeps the relationship grounded in reality. But something subtle happens in unhealthy dynamics. Old versions of you get pulled into current conversations. You find yourself defending a person you no longer are, and your brain starts feeling stuck between past and present. Sign 6. You don't feel like you're performing. This is the quietest sign and the most dangerous one to miss. Nothing obvious happens, but something always feels slightly off. You feel like you need to think before you speak constantly, and you monitor yourself more than you feel natural. You rehearse conversations, replay interactions, and analyze small details repeatedly. You wonder if you said something wrong after every interaction. There is always a low level of tension in the background, and you slowly start adjusting yourself to maintain approval. People who care don't create that kind of mental pressure. You don't feel like you need to earn your place constantly. You can show up tired, quiet, or imperfect without consequences. And nothing about your presence feels conditional or temporary. Most people try to fix this by forcing confidence or motivation. But your brain doesn't change through force or pressure alone. It changes through small patterns repeated over time consistently. That's the exact philosophy behind quiet growth. Why your brain misses these signs. Your brain is designed to protect connection, even unhealthy ones. Because losing connection once meant losing safety and survival. So it filters out patterns that might threaten that connection, even when those patterns are clearly harming you over time. That's why you explain behavior that doesn't make sense. That's why you give second chances that slowly become endless. And that's why clarity often comes much later than it should. Because your brain values familiarity more than emotional truth. So let's bring everything back to something simple and clear. If someone truly cares, their behavior feels consistent and safe. Not perfect, but stable enough that you don't question everything. And that difference matters more than you think. You're not asking for too much. You're asking the wrong people. Your brain just hasn't learned how to filter them yet. But now you can start recognizing patterns instead of excuses. And that shifts everything in a very real way. Start noticing how people respond to your limits and vulnerability. Watch consistency, not just words or emotional intensity. And slowly remove yourself from places where you feel uncertain. Because clarity always feels calmer than confusion ever did. Your brain isn't broken. It was simply protecting you imperfectly. Now you see the patterns it was trying to hide. And once you see them clearly, you can choose differently. And that's where real change quietly begins.